If they come into contact with a pretty cold frost and they've changed color like this, is it still okay to eat? Guten gardening, everybody. Today, I'm going to be harvesting a GreenStalk tower of blue and purple potatoes. Now, first of all, this is an original series 5-tier GreenStalk setup. The bottom tier, I didn't put any potatoes in this year. Instead, I just had some of our kale that we started indoors. Now, the top 4 tiers, I went ahead and planted potatoes. And the reason we didn't put anything in the bottom tier is just an experiment to see if the other tiers perform better, because in the past, that bottom tier has done the least well for us for potatoes. So in the top, we have some Huckleberry Gold. And then as we continue down the tiers, we have some Adirondack Blues, some purple Viking, and then here at the bottom, we have purple Magic Molly. So I'm interested to see how well they performed. We're gonna start with these Huckleberry Golds at the top. And as I get started with this harvest, I'm going to talk about some of the benefits of a GreenStalk vertical garden. So we're going to go ahead and take off this first tier. Now, from my point of view, one of the obvious benefits of a GreenStalk is just how easily it assembles and disassembles. You know, I think with a vertical garden, you're looking for ease of use, ease of assembly, certainly. And actually, you're going to notice I'm going to dump out the mix that's in here into one of our beds. I'll put it back in, or most of it back into the GreenStalk after we're done. But just for ease of harvest as well, I'm quickly able to disassemble this bed. Ooh. Now there's something I'm going to want you to recognize as I get into this harvest, and that is that I'm going to have to eat these potatoes really quickly. Do you see the color here? Actually, I'll find one that is the right color. The skin is supposed to be this nice purplish color here. The inside is a white, so it's not actually a full purple potato. Ooh. We got some really nice size in here, but you're gonna notice that these don't look as healthy as other potatoes. Now, I said I'm gonna have to eat these pretty quickly. I am not getting out here until after we had our first frost here in Zone 5, Wisconsin. I'm not sure when this video is gonna get released. It might be a little ways down the road, but we've already had a pretty decent frost, about 26 degrees. And I wasn't able to get these potatoes out in time. So here you go. That's the beautiful color we're expecting here. More of that purplish color for the skin for this variety. And so what ended up happening is there's a little bit of damage as a result, I think. These have suffered a little bit from that extra cold that they shouldn't have had to deal with. I should have gotten these out here much earlier. But again, time. Sometimes we need more time than what we have, you know? But I tell you what, for a first tier here, the size of these potatoes isn't bad. I'll tell you something else too. We've talked a lot about what you can grow in a GreenStalk, and there's all kinds of thoughts about whether or not potatoes make sense to grow in here, because realistically, you can get a pretty nice yield from here, but you might be able to get a better yield in ground. But if you don't have the ability to access a nice in-ground space, then I mean, you can still get a pretty good supply. And you know, as far as ease of harvest, I just dumped this out and we're good to go. There's our first tier, our Huckleberry Gold. Now, I like to take my time through a harvest, but if we're talking about speed of harvest and you don't have a lot of time, I mean, a simple dump like this makes it pretty easy, I would say. All right, let's take a look at our second variety here, which is our Adirondack Blue. And here's what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you. I mean, look at the damage. You can barely see the actual color. If I peel this back, now I said I'm going to eat these really quickly. If I peel this back, do you see that purple in there right away? So I guess probably the question you have in your mind is, I mean, well, that, I should point this out. That is a substantially sized potato right there. But I guess probably one of your questions is, if this happens to your potatoes, can you still eat them? If they come into contact with a pretty cold frost and you come through here and they've changed color like this, is it still okay to eat? And the answer to that from our experience is, yeah, it's definitely okay. Does it have an impact on taste? Well, that I think you'd have to judge for yourself. From my own personal experience, I would say that it hasn't really impacted the taste to a point where we didn't care for. Whoa, massive Adirondack Blue, unbelievable. Well, as I was about to say, it hasn't really impacted the taste to a point where we'd sit there and say, We didn't like the taste afterward, but definitely if you're planning to store your potatoes, you don't want that to happen at all. Hey, one thing I'll definitely confirm here though is in this GreenStalk, there's a distinct possibility to get some really nice sized potatoes, though the quantity has not yet been a massive amount. These are our purple Vikings. The purple Viking happened to be one of my favorite in terms of looks. And this one's actually, you can see some of it. It's got a purplish skin to it, purple, and then a lighter shade to it as well. But again, more of that damage from the cold. But I want to stress this enough, and I'm actually going to do this before I end the video. I'm going to cook some of these up and really give you that confirmation in terms of taste. There you go. You can actually see that's the color you're looking for. Isn't that beautiful? If you have never grown the purple Vikings, I'm going to recommend it. They've been really good producers for us. And on top of being really good producers, oops, well, I guess you weren't attached anyway. On top of being really good producers, they're really tasty. And we've been growing those in raised beds, in ground for quite some time now. Yeah, I'd say they're one of those really nice, consistent producers that give us a consistent size, like right here. Actually, you can look at the consistency here. Here's what I've harvested so far. They're all pretty much about the same size as the other ones. Again, it's got that purplish with pink flecks in it. That's the skin color you're looking at for the purple Viking. And on top of that coloration, there we go, here are the rest of them. And then the flesh inside is a white. It's a white flesh inside. So this is the tower of purple, but half of these have just the purple exterior and not the purple interior as well. Man, you see how easy it is to get in here and harvest though? Again, just have a place to dump this out and it'll be really easy to fill back up. Oop, oop. And that way it's easy to not miss anything either. You know, I'm piling up the mix here on top of it, so that makes it a little bit harder, but I did that to myself. It has nothing to do with the ability to move this around. But you see, I've got this nearly unstacked. I got one more tier to look at here. I'm gonna spread this out so I have a flat surface, but I've got one more tier to look at here, and that's with our purple Magic Mollies. That is a top tier potato for us, a personal favorite, absolute favorite. And all I'm gonna do after I've done all this, I'm gonna load this right back up. I'm gonna stack all these tiers right back up with the mix in them. And these are gonna stay out here all winter long in our Zone 5 garden. You know, that's one of the benefits of a GreenStalk. I would say the type of plastic that they use, the food safe plastic they use, look at that beautiful purple color. And then I'll scratch it a little bit. Again, I'm gonna be eating these, so the purple color, that purple interior. You know what, once I cook a couple of these up and eat them, I'll show you each variety. I'll show you the inside of each variety. You're gonna like this. But what I was saying was, it's one of the benefits of the GreenStalk plastic is we don't have to worry about trying to bring all of our GreenStalks indoors. They've got a nice 5-year warranty. There we go. A nice 5-year warranty on their setup. And we've had some of these for 4 or 5 years. We don't bring them in. The ones that we use to grow indoors, they're indoors. They stay indoors. The ones that we use to grow outdoors, we don't bring them in. They stay out here and they produce year after year. And the plastic doesn't warp, or at least that's been our experience so far. There's been no warping in the plastic. And I'm not gonna knock on wood too early, but if you've watched my potato harvest videos and even my sweet potato harvest videos, there's a constant thing that keeps getting added. And it's not this, although we have been getting some consistently beautifully sized potatoes. It's walnuts from our squirrels. And you know what? I don't see, and I'm on my last bit here, I haven't seen a single walnut in this entire harvest. All right, let's start from the bottom. We got some beautiful purple Magic Mollies. I would say our purple Viking was the most consistent producer here. They look great. Our Adirondack Blues produced the 2 biggest potatoes by far. Absolutely stunning. And our Huckleberry Gold were nice and consistent, but they were definitely the most impacted, I would say, by that frost that we got. But let's go ahead and take a look at these inside. All right, I've got some of each of these 3 different varieties here, and you can see the color is not supposed to be this. This is the frostbite, and we're gonna see how it affected the taste of our potatoes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these peeled, and you're gonna see pretty quickly the color that we're looking at in here is the purple of this Adirondack Blue. So that outside color is not near what it was supposed to be. And one of the things I've read is that a frost can actually create a bit of an unpleasant texture. It can also impact the flavor of these potatoes. So once I get all three of these peeled, we'll see if there's any noticeable difference. All right, here is our purple Viking, which is that purple and pink on the outside, but a white potato inside. And again, all we're gonna do for this is we're gonna steam each of these varieties, regardless of the fact that some of those are probably better steamed. And here is our Magic Molly, a little bit of a darker shade of purple. I get these in the steamer, get them nice and soft, and then we taste. All right, I have let these cool down a little bit, but I got these nice and soft, so we're gonna try these out. All right, first and foremost, we'll take a look at texture. I'll talk about the texture as I'm preparing these. I mean, they feel the way I'd expect them to feel if they hadn't been frostbitten. They still look really good. Well, bon appetit. Here is our purple Viking. Oh, it's got an amazing potato taste. It's soft, it's creamy. Oh, that is so good. So there's definitely no impact on that potato. And let's take a look at our Magic Molly. This is my favorite potato all around. And it remains my favorite potato. It's a little bit waxier, definitely waxier, it seems, than the purple Viking. A lot earthier taste, in my opinion. Oh, it's so good. When I'm looking for a potato, that's exactly what I want to taste. And here is our Adirondack Blue. That's amazing. I tell you what, none of the potatoes suffered any loss of the texture I would expect from them. None of the potatoes had any kind of deficiency in terms of taste. So my understanding is that if it becomes too frostbitten, if they're out there too long, that it can really have an impact on the sugars and the overall flavors and tastes. That's not the case for these, so I would say I got them in time. And so if this is something that happens to you where your potatoes suffer a bit of a frost before you're able to get them out of the ground, I'm gonna say don't throw them out. These taste just fine to me. In fact, they're better than fine. They're delicious. And I've already had dinner, so you can imagine if I'm, well, they're that good. Now I'm still planning to do a potato taste test video. I didn't really talk too much about the taste of these. Really the purpose was to see if they were harmed or not by the frost. I will say a couple of them have already started sprouting, and I don't know if that's because of the damage caused by frost or not. I definitely think the shelf life is reduced if they suffer from being frostbitten. And so I did wait a week or two before I did this part of the video just to see if there was going to be any damage, just how quickly it would show up. And again, I didn't really see any further damage. They're not really softened up or anything like that, but a couple of them are sprouting a little bit, which is not something I would expect that quickly. So maybe that's an impact, I'm not sure. One thing's for sure, we were able to grow some really nice potatoes in our GreenStalk vertical garden. And even though they got attacked a little bit by the frost, they're still perfectly delicious. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed today's video and maybe learned a little bit about vertical gardening, a little bit about what happens when your potatoes get frostbitten, etc. If you did enjoy today's video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.